Recovery Elevator, episode 570.
Ask for help. Let someone in. Let someone help you. Stop trying to pretend you're okay. Let someone help you. Tell someone you're not okay.
Welcome to the Recovery Elevator podcast. My name is Paul Churchill, and I'm excited to be here with you today. Listeners, on today's episode, we have Savanna. She's 32 years old, from Minneapolis, Minnesota, and she took her last drink of alcohol on May 5th, 2023. Every Sunday on the Recovery Elevator Instagram account, we post a roll call graphic, and then you guys put your day count on there. We've been doing this for over 7 years, but I wanted to remind you all to be loud and proud. Let us know where you're at on your journey, and let's show up to support others. Some people have been posting on this roll call for accountability for years, and it works. Wherever you are on your alcohol-free journey, be it day 1 or day 1,000, let us know because we want to walk this journey with you. Before we get any further, I want to mention this is an ad from BetterHelp. The new year doesn't require a new you, but maybe a less burdened you. Therapy can help more easily identify what you need to let go of. Now, I definitely had to let go of alcohol, and there is no way I could have done that alone. Talk therapy was vital to me quitting drinking, which is why we have been working with BetterHelp for over 4 years now. We fully believe in their mission and their goal, which is to make you a better version of you. Let's talk quality therapists. BetterHelp therapists work according to a strict code of conduct and are fully licensed in the U.S. With over 30,000 therapists, BetterHelp is one of the world's largest online therapy platform, having served over 5 million people globally. And it works, with an average rating of 4.9 out of 5 for a live session based on over 1.7 million client reviews. BetterHelp makes it easy to get matched online with a qualified therapist. Sign up and get 10% off at betterhelp.com/elevator. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/elevator. Okay, let's get started. Last week in episode 569, we talked about not wanting to change our relationship with alcohol. Again, we don't want to change our relationship with alcohol because we don't want any relationship at all. We don't want a relationship with a toxin in our beverage, like you don't want lead or ethanol in your drinking water, right? Of course you don't. And you may be listening today saying, okay, Paul, yes, I track with that and I'm in the process, but what do I do with all this space where alcohol used to be? And that's what we're going to touch upon today. When you finally end a bad relationship, there's this moment of relief, right? The drama's over, the chaos stops, but there's also this emptiness. You've been spending so much time and energy managing this dysfunctional thing that when it's gone, you almost don't know what to do with yourself. Another word for this is boredom. And this is where people get tripped up, especially in early sobriety. They think quitting drinking is supposed to feel like some immediate transformation, like you wake up one day and you're suddenly running marathons and learning Portuguese. But really, the first gift of sobriety is actually much more simpler than that. It's the gift of not having to negotiate anymore. It's additional mental bandwidth. Think about how much mental real estate alcohol took up when you were drinking. Can I have 2 tonight? Is this occasion special enough? Did I drink too much yesterday, so I should skip today? Or I did not drink yesterday, so tonight's fair game? It's exhausting. You're basically a hostage negotiator with yourself every single day. But when you quit, the answer is always the same. The decision is already made, and there's profound relief in that. It's a more simple life. So what fills this space? At first, maybe it's nothing, and that's okay. Maybe you just sit there and feel your feelings without numbing them. Maybe you sleep a little better each night. Maybe you actually finish a book or a Netflix series. Now, these aren't small things. These are the building blocks of getting reacquainted with yourself. And then slowly, on their own, other things start to show up, and they will. Real conversations, the kind you're actually present for, hobbies you forgot you loved, dreams you shelved because they required morning clarity or follow through. Your own potential begins to emerge. The cool thing here, this isn't self-deprivation or sacrifice, not at all. It's you clearing space for a fruitful life, or a life that gives back to you because alcohol was a relationship that only took. As Thomas Jefferson told Lewis and Clark, your mission is to explore. You have the same mission, and this is exciting. So next week, we'll talk about what happens when you start filling that space intentionally, with intentionality. But just for now, I want you to notice the relief of less chaos, less drama, and more simplicity. And before we hear from Savanna, let's hear from my favorite resource on this journey, Cafe RE.
Have you quit drinking and found yourself wondering, who am I going to hang out with now? Well, Cafe RE is the social app for sober people. If you're looking to build authentic friendships that don't revolve around alcohol, this is where you need to be. But Cafe RE isn't just for connection, it's also for support. If you're in the process of figuring out how to quit drinking, we've got you covered. With 24/7 access to a like-minded community committed to living alcohol-free, you'll never feel alone on this journey. For just $24 a month, you can be paired with an accountability partner, participate in book and movie club, and have access to over 25 live chats per week, including in-house AA meetings. And we don't just connect online. Meet up in person across the country for lunches, hikes, river trips, and even kickball. In-person connection is a staple for us as well. Cafe RE is now a nonprofit with service and giving back at the heart of our mission. Plus, members get exclusive discounts on recovery elevator courses, retreats, and alcohol-free travel experiences. Are you ready to start your alcohol-free social life? Head on over to cafe-re.org to learn more. Cafe RE, the social app for sober people.
Savanna, how are you?
I'm great, Paul. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. Let's get right into this, Savanna. When was your last drink?
My last drink was 5/5 of 23.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Over 2 years, coming up on 2.5. How do you feel, Savanna?
Peaceful, grateful, excited.
That's Cinco de Mayo, right?
It is indeed. Indeed, it's Cinco de Mayo.
There you go. Sometimes when those sobriety dates are like July 4th,
Right.
New Year's, October 31st, May 5th, Cinco de Mayo. It's like, all right, we were at a Cinco de Mayo party probably.
Yep.
We'll get to that shortly. But before we do, Savanna, give us a little background about yourself. Give us some information about you. This is like where you're calling in from, what you do for a living, what's your age, what does your family life look like, and what do you like to do for fun?
Sure. I am 32 years old and I reside in Minneapolis, Minnesota. I'm a marketing manager. The things I like to do for fun, I love to go camping. I love to travel. I love to play my guitar. I have a great community of friends, sober and not sober. I get outside and go for a lot of walks, especially in the woods. It's where I find my peace and kind of my reflection. And yeah, spending time with loved ones, family and friends and all that, and just making my connections really strong.
Did you say playing guitar?
I do play guitar, yes.
What kind of music and what's a song you're working on or playing?
I play acoustic. I'll cover whatever's in my head that day. I do write sometimes, but I don't share my writing. It just feels a little too vulnerable, and I'm not trying to be Stevie Nicks out here or anything like that. So I just play for the therapy of it more than anything. I think the last song I played actually it might have been Dreams. I'm not kidding, by Fleetwood Mac. So apparently that's one out of my head today. But yeah, if there's like a pop song on the radio that I'm like, that would sound great acoustic, I'll strip it back and make it my own.
Are you better at guitar sober or with alcohol in your system?
I am more brazen with my guitar playing and louder with alcohol. I am a better guitar player without it, for sure.
Yeah, that's a good way to say it. I guess I'm more likely to stand in front of a group of people on a stage, hammer-faced, but yeah, it's not going to sound very good.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and then how far are you away from the Mall of America? That's in Minneapolis, right?
It is. It's in Bloomington, which is just outside. I would say it's a good 15 to 20 minutes, but if you're a Minnesotan, you don't go to the Mall of America.
Well, cool, Savanna. I'm going to turn it over to you with your story into and out of an alcohol addiction, a drinking problem, whatever you want to call it. I'm all ears. I'm going to jump in with questions as I see fit. Let's do it.
Sure. The story with how I came to alcohol, I throughout high school and everything, I was that kid that said, I don't need alcohol to have fun. I just don't need it. And I think part of that was a little fear and a little, I was a good kid. I just wanted to make my parents proud and all that stuff. So I didn't really see this problem of mine coming. But as I got into college, obviously alcohol becomes more accessible and around. And by the time I was in my sophomore year, I started hanging around a group of friends, and I was working in a bar where it's just what we did at the end of every night, right? You're 21, you're excited, you're like, I'll go to the liquor store. It's kind of a novelty, and just made it a habit to have a couple every night. And again, working at the bar didn't help. As time went on, I didn't really stop that cadence as I got older. I think that I surrounded myself with people that drank like I like to drink. And I just said, everyone drinks at the end of the day. You had a long day at work. It is what it is. I got into a relationship in my young to mid 20s from my college days, and that did not help pull back the drinking at all. We both kind of just made it very normalized. You had a stressful day, let's go grab some drinks. You're bored, let's go drink. It's dinner time, let's have wine. It was just kind of a little bit of the way we bonded too. And after a few years of that, I realized that it wasn't really what made us bond. It was actually keeping us from having a lot of important conversations as we were getting into our later 20s and figuring out what we wanted to do in life. And it kind of became the glue of our relationship that would eventually keep us together for too long. We were growing apart, and the only reason we stuck together is because we had the booze in common. But as that dissipated, the pandemic hit. So now I was living on my own, working remotely, and it was just me, my Zoom calls, and the bottle of gin that was 10 feet away in the liquor cabinet. So what originally started as a nightly routine slowly crept into, I'll have one at 5 p.m. Okay, I'll have one at lunch. Okay, 10 a.m. It's fun. Who cares? I'll have one at 10. And then I'll drink into the evening. And then I was falling asleep with a gin and tonic by my nightstand. And I'd wake up in the morning and finish it before I went to go brush my teeth. So it was becoming a 24/7 sort of cycle where towards my mid to late 20s, I think I had alcohol in my system consistently throughout the day for 4 or 5 years, I'd say. It was really bad. It became just super ingrained in everything I did, and it scared me eventually when I would go to family events or holidays and I'd have to pack booze to make sure I didn't go into withdrawal. Or if I was going on vacation, I would look at where the nearest liquor store was to where we were staying. I was planning my life around booze.
Savanna, were you able to see the progression as it was happening, right? It was a nighttime thing, and then it was an after work thing, and then it was a lunch thing, then it was a 10 a.m. thing, and then it was let's drink the remaining beverage on my nightstand when I wake up in the morning thing. Were you able to see it? Because sometimes it's just like, oh shit, how did I end up here? Or
Yeah.
were you seeing the progression? Okay, oh, wait a second. I need to do something about this.
That's a great question. I don't know if I did. Or maybe, no, I did. I shouldn't say that. I did recognize it, but I always kind of had this mentality of, well, I'm not an alcoholic. That's not going to be me. That's not me. I'm just having fun right now. It's the pandemic. Everyone's drinking a lot. I made a lot of excuses for my behavior. So I noticed it, but I was rationalizing, if you can call it that.
And then when did you link, like you said, I'm not going to have a drinking problem. I'm not going to be an alcoholic. When did you link, oh, wait a second, if I'm drinking the nightstand beverage from the previous night before I brush my teeth, I might be a...
Yeah, I think the moment I realized I am an alcoholic, I asked myself that question, like, am I drinking alcoholically for years? But the moment I kind of solidified it was I noticed I would get uncomfortable at night if it's been more than 8 hours without a drink. And I'm like, I'm going into a withdrawal now. Or like I said, packing alcohol to go stay at someone's house. I clocked that's not normal. But if I don't, I convinced myself that I needed alcohol to sleep. And I realized now it's because my body was becoming uncomfortable and going through withdrawal. But I was like, no, I need my alcohol to be able to fall asleep, because without it, I'm awake and I'm angsty and I'm jittery and I need it to go to bed. So at that point, when I realized I had a physical dependency, it was clear to me then, but I always made a goalpost of when I would stop. When I get married, I'll stop. When I have a baby, I'll stop. When I get this job, I'll stop. But no matter what goalpost I put, I would my alcohol pushed through all of that. So
I know there's a lot of shaking heads out there with the I'll quit drinking when you get there and you push the goalposts further back. Yeah, I did the same. How old were you when you realized there's a physical dependence on alcohol? You're planning your life and your trips around alcohol. Again, there's a lot of shaking heads going, not left and right shaking heads. There's a lot of shaking heads going up and down going, yep, Savanna, you're my girl. I was there. I get you. You quit drinking when you were 29, I think. Were you 25, 26?
I was just around 25 or 26. Yeah, a few years out of school, a few years into my career. And I worked in agencies, which notoriously have a big drinking culture. So even at work, when I was in the office, it was every day was let's go get a beer from the beer fridge and end the day. So I surrounded myself with a lot of drinking culture, and not always intentionally, but some intentionally and some just by circumstance, but it was always around.
So you recognize that you're dependent on alcohol, right? Then was there an attempt to cut back, to scale back? We've heard the word moderation or to moderate, but was there action taken, or did you just accept it? Like, well, I'm just going to roll with this.
I thought about what actions to take, and I would kind of think about, okay, well, I'm going on a trip then, so I should start pulling back my drinking by this so I can lessen my dependency, but I would never stick to that. It didn't matter. Once I had one, I was going to have as many as I needed to get the effect I wanted. So there were a few times where I set a goal in mind, but once the liquor hits your lips, it doesn't really, it never mattered. And the scary part was, since I couldn't hold myself accountable, I had these talks to myself in my head of like, if I don't stop this, it's only going to get worse. And we know what alcohol can do to people, and it can be deadly. So what does this mean if I can't stop this behavior? And I don't want to stop this behavior. And what does that mean? And I had come to peace with the fact that alcohol was going to kill me, and I was going to have an early death, and it was going to be by booze, and that was going to be it. And I feel bad for my family, but I don't want to stop. And saying that now in my sober state and knowing that that was my mindset, that's insanity. That's crazy that I was okay with letting alcohol kill me.
Wow, you said you were at peace with ending your life early due to alcohol. And Savanna, you highlighted something perfectly, what happens within. You're like, I know what's going to happen. If I keep drinking, I'm going to die early. This is how it's going to go. But you wanted to quit, but then you said, I don't want to quit, right? Mm-hmm. How did you reconcile those two voices inside you? And then it's almost like, which voice did you feed more? I mean, you're sober today. We know how this ends, but that's a rough crossroads that everybody hits. It's like, I don't want to quit drinking. I want to quit drinking. We have people sign up for Cafe RE, and then 48 seconds later, we get the cancellation email. It's like that happens all the time. And it's like that other voice is like, no, delete, cancel, refund. And then they sign up a year later. I kid you not. This is very normal behavior. It's insane behavior, but it's normal. Mm-hmm. How did you eventually pick the voice that's like, no, Savanna, we're quitting drinking?
I don't think I picked the voice. I think I was brought to the hard and fast decision. I mean, like I said before that, I had that voice, but the goalpost kept coming to mind. I'll stop when. But when the good voice finally took over the voice that said stop, it was, like I said, an external force. And I'm so grateful for that, because I probably would have put myself in an extremely bad situation or possibly ended my life if that didn't happen.
Did you try to cut back?
This is crazy. I'm thinking in a 7-year drinking career, I think I maybe tried 5 to 10 times, but never stuck to what I said I was going to do. Like I said, I wanted it to fall asleep. So I was going to go until I got the desired effect. I got it till I wanted to feel a little euphoria or had the confidence to send that text or just escape whatever was going on in my head, and then eventually to fall asleep. So it was serving all those needs that I was indulging in only when I had booze. So
a lot of shaking heads out there. Again, we have rules, we have goalposts. That first drink hits the lips, or sometime throughout the day, all of those lines in the sand are erased. Totally get it. Savanna, so what happened? You said there was an external force. Was this on Cinco de Mayo, 2023?
Yes, this was the Cinco de Mayo that I will remember forever. And I'm not like a huge Cinco de Mayo celebrator, so it's funny that it's become such a staple of my history at this point. But what had happened was, and I should back up, a month or two before the Cinco de Mayo party, I was fired for the first time in my life.
Did that have to do with alcohol?
Definitely. Not that I was...
From the bartending job or the marketing job?
an in-office marketing job.
Okay.
And it wasn't because I was drinking at work. I was drinking at home, but they couldn't necessarily identify why they're firing me other than it was poor performance. And my poor performance was because of the amount of alcohol I was drinking. My memory was horrible. My productivity was horrible. I wasn't being very efficient at anything. I was having a job just to kind of skate by and do the bare minimum. I was not applying myself at all at that point. And that was reflected. And for the first time, I was fired. And I think I had said this, but I'd always been a pretty high achiever and have had really big goals and aspirations for myself. So that was a hit to the ego, but still not the wake up call I needed to get sober. It happened 2 months or so later when during those 2 months, I told everyone I was looking for a job. I was drinking day in and day out. I was sitting on my couch and feeling sorry for myself and drinking. And if I went for a walk that day, that was a good day. I look back at that and I'm really sad and sorry for that, Savanna. So that was the way things were for 2 months. And then the Cinco de Mayo party, I was getting together with a bunch of my friends who I had purposely avoided for a few months. My friend who was kind of organizing the party, she called me and she said, can you bring, I don't know, it was pizza toppings or something. And I had to call her 2 or 3 other times to ask her what I was supposed to bring again. Because like I said, my memory at this point was beyond fuzzy. It was almost gone. So I think I kind of tipped her off that something wasn't right because that's not normally how I act. So the fact that I had to ask what was I supposed to bring again, I think she was a little suspicious of me. So I showed up at this party and immediately that friend looked at me. Like I said, I've been avoiding everyone for a few months. She looked at me. We've known each other since we were 16. She looked at me and she said, the light has left your eyes. You are not okay. You're the skinniest I've seen you since high school. What's going on? And that was enough to crack me open. I think some part of me recognized that this was the permission I needed to tell someone how bad it had gotten and to ask for help because I wouldn't have sought it out myself. But the fact that she cracked a door open even just a little bit, I took advantage of it because I knew what path I was on. And I said, I'm absolutely not okay. I feel like I'm dying. I know I need help.
Was this at the beginning of the party? Like knock on the door, opens the door?
I would say it was a good, maybe hour. It was not night end or anything. It was an hour or two in. I think the fact that I had lost so much weight because I wasn't eating any nutritional valued calories. It was all alcohol. And I was full because my belly was full from booze, but I had zero nutrition going through me. So I was just stick arms, stick legs with a little beer belly on me. I did not look well.
Savanna, was there a part of you that wanted to say, I'm good, like to keep the drinking going when she said that?
Yeah, I mean, I think, and I've heard this from other alcoholics too, you want to protect your addiction for as long as you can when you're in it, right? You do a lot to protect your addiction. You make excuses, you hide, you steal, you cheat, it all to protect this little secret that you think you need to feed. And that's how you keep the secret for longer and how you get yourself into more and more trouble. So yeah, I think the fact that she, like I said, cracked that door open, I just said, I need help. And she said, we love this person so much because she said, okay, let's go home. Let's go back to your place. And she brought me back to my apartment where this is so fuzzy to recall. And I wasn't even drunk. Like I remember most of this, but I think I had dissociated. I think I just had I had asked someone for help and then I clocked out. I just said, whatever happens is going to happen. I am just going to go somewhere else in my brain. So she's in my apartment. I'm in my bed, just kind of, I don't even know what I was doing. I can't remember. She called my dad, who is just the pinnacle of, I couldn't have asked for a better father ever. I love him very much and he does anything for his kids. He's also sober. So my friend calls him at, I think it must have been 1 or 2 in the morning and said, I don't know what she said, Savanna needs help. He lives 2 hours away. He drove the 2 hours to come pick me up and then 2 hours back closer to his house to go to that hospital. And he brought me straight to the hospital. When he did come, I remember thinking I should pack a bag because I know I'm going away for a long time. But again, I was super just dissociated and kind of just rolling with whatever punches. And I think it was a little bit more urgent than packing a bag and waiting for that. So my dad brought me to the hospital. They asked me, what's been going on. And I said, well, I've been drinking a little bit more than usual, but I was still protecting the addiction, even in a medical setting. But they ran their tests. They come back in after a while and they said, if you keep drinking like the way you are, you're going to die soon. And that was like the air left my lungs. That was like I am really killing myself. That was the realization, because you don't know how bad it is when you're just kind of thinking, I know this could be an option, but is it going to be my reality? Having that said in a medical setting was the final nail in the coffin for me to say, I have to stop this. The doctor said we recommend rehab. And I said, okay, yes. And my dad brought me back to his place where I would stay for the next couple of weeks. And I just felt like a kid again. I was super weak. My body started entering withdrawal at this point. I was super weak. I was sleeping a lot. I mean, if anyone has withdrawn from a physical dependency of alcohol, you know this feeling. It's like a newborn deer. You're weak. You can't do anything. I was so skinny. My brain wasn't working. It was like being an infant again. It was crazy. So I healed at his place for a while, and bless him, he made sure I had soup, and I went for a walk here and there. All while I was waiting for a bed to open up at Hazelden, where I would eventually go. I had to wait a few weeks until a bed opened up there. So after I was about 3 or 4 weeks sober at that point, with my parents taking care of me, they drove me to rehab. And as I was prepping to go to Hazelden, I remember thinking, what is rehab going to be like, right? You see it depicted in media. Is it going to be dark and cringy? And what kind of people am I going to be around? Do I belong there? Should I be scared? Am I going to have my phone? Can I talk to anyone on the outside world? I was really running through every worst case scenario of what rehab was going to be and preparing myself for a really cold and dark experience. But I was pleasantly surprised to find that rehab is very warm and educational and welcoming, and it is so beneficial to be around other addicts and alcoholics during those first few days, weeks, months of your sobriety, just so you don't have any judgment. You can talk about what it was like and where you're at now and how bad it was and your worst decisions with people who have done the same thing or worse, right? That's a really comforting feeling, to really be honest with yourself and others, to kind of mark your history and where you've been. And then the other thing I loved about Hazelden, like I said, was that learning, the education. And this is another huge piece I needed, because you hear like go to meetings and build a social life and do all these kind of intangible things in order to avoid being in an addicted state. But I was yearning to learn physiologically what was going on with me. What was my body doing? What was happening? Why was I having these cravings? What damage was I doing? I just wanted to know every single component of, like I said, the physiological state of my actions. And they teach you all of that at Hazelden. I learned about what was going on in my body, what I should expect socially, every component was covered there. So I'm very grateful for that time spent there.
Savanna, I have heard great things about Hazelden as well, right? It's kind of a big hitter name in this space. They've got a lot of literature. I want to go back to the moment, the Cinco de Mayo party. Did you bring the pizza toppings?
I did. I had enough wherewithal to remember to bring the mushrooms and green peppers. Yes.
Okay. I don't know why I was still wondering about that. But what's your friend? Can I ask what your friend's name is?
Her name's Maddie.
Maddie. Okay. Maddie cut through something with what she said, and I think I can translate that as, Savanna, you're dying, right? And there is one thing that diminishes the further we go down in alcohol addiction. That's the light will disappear from your eyes. Yeah. I've been doing this for a hot minute. And on the flip side, when you quit drinking, the light will come back. So occasionally, if I'm in a social setting, hey, Paul, you got to meet somebody. They'll pull me over. And if it's an alcohol thing, they don't even have to say a word. I'll look at the person and I'll see zero to little light in their eyes. And I already know what the conversation is going to be about, right? Because like, hey, you got to meet the Paul, the recovery elevator guy. And I'll see him be like, oh, this guy's struggling with alcohol. That's happened probably 10 times, and I'm 10 for 10. Sometimes like, hey, Paul, I got to introduce you to this guy who plays ukulele, right? There's light in their eyes. This guy also likes goats, whatever. But the light in the eye things. In Arabic, and actually other languages as well, alcohol means mind and body eating spirit. So everything is alive. Everything is a vibration. And the entity alcohol is a vibration that actually will suck the life out of you. Is that what you experienced, Savanna?
100%. My hobbies were gone. My motivation was gone. Life had left me. I was a shell an absolute shell of myself at that point.
Yeah. What was a good day for you just shortly before that Cinco de Mayo? You said you would do a walk outside, just you. That's all you would do. Drink at home alone. And if you did a walk outside around the block, that's a good day. Like life is diminishing. Light is leaving your entire being. It's not just your eyes, but your soul is slowly making its departure. And your friend Maddie was like, yo, you're dying.
Yeah.
That's it. And I think if it would have been, Maddie, are you okay? Maddie, is everything okay? If it was a question, I think the Bruno voice, that's the addiction, would have been like, no, I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. But the way Maddie said it was just like, hey, this is not a question. This is like, you're dying. You have no light in your eyes. That's a big time move from a friend or for another human being, right?
I owe her my life. And exactly what you said, if it would have been like, how you doing? Are you okay? I would have danced around and said, I'm fine. I'm stressed because I'm looking for a job or whatever. The fact that she said, I can see you're not okay, it made all the difference. It really did.
And on the flip side of this healing, hundreds of people have gone to our retreats, and I see the light return to their eyes. This doesn't mean that they're coasting through life or now that sobriety is easy, but with every challenge we overcome with that alcohol, a little bit more light returns. That internal furnace starts to combust again, and you're pulling energy from something that's not alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So that 3 or 4 weeks at home with healing, was there a time you're like, hey, I'm not under 24/7 supervision, I'm going to go drink? I was a little surprised that you made it through that long before going to Hazleton.
Yeah, I think the fact that I was under my parents' supervision, but also I can say this honestly, I was done. I knew what was going to happen if I kept going the way I was. I was ready to be done finally. And I talk a lot about this in recovery groups too. You can't get sober for anyone else but yourself. It doesn't work unless you're doing it for you when you want it. And I finally wanted it.
That's a big one right there, Savanna, right? You have to want it and you're done.
Mm-hmm.
And you were done. So after Hazleton, was it 30 days, 60 days?
Oh, I was there for 30 days. Yeah.
Okay.
And then
so,
I did outpatient. So then I was living at home, but still going to therapy, group therapy 3 times a week there and stuff like that. So I think the whole program itself was probably around 2 months.
was there a time after in-person treatment where you were like, it wasn't that bad, I can handle it, just one?
No, I can say honestly that after that, once you get your feet under you in sobriety and you realize you can handle life on life's terms, which is the saying that we love in AA, right? I never, ever want to be that version of myself ever again, ever. Like I keep saying, I feel bad for that Savanna. That was a really sad existence to have. And my life is so much more full now.
What would you say to that Savanna? Just one walk around the block. That's all she got done that day. What would you say to the younger Savanna?
Ask for help. Let someone in. Let someone help you. Stop trying to pretend you're okay. Let someone help you. Tell someone you're not okay.
Savanna, if you could break down year 1 and year 2 in terms of like physical and mental healing, let's hear it.
The physical healing, thank goodness, happens quick. Our bodies are very resilient. I was on medications that helped keep me comfortable while I was getting my levels back to normal and everything. And I started going for walks again and then running, so my strength was coming back. The physical, I rebounded pretty quickly there, thankfully. I think the mental component was when you're in rehab, you're just following instructions, right? And I'm not thinking about so much of my past or present or future, really. I'm just kind of going through the program and reflecting, I suppose, a little bit of past, but I didn't really think about what this would mean for the next chapter until a little bit towards the end there, where I started having some worries about what this means. The fact that I've been to rehab. What does this mean for how people perceive me? What does this mean for the rest of my life? What implications does this have being a sober person? And are my friends going to change? Is my type of work going to change? What does this mean for what my life looks like after I get out of Hazleton? So a lot of kind of thinking through what I wanted to build with this newfound sturdiness and comfortability and health.
How did things change with relationships, your job, and your outlook on things in general?
I was pleased to find that my motivation came back. Once I was going back into the workforce, I wanted to kick butt and make money. And I knew I had the brains to do it. I just needed the application. So I got a job in marketing, but in a different, not agency anymore. I went in-house, which is a lot more stable and not so much booze around. There's no booze around my work now. I'm able to apply myself really fast, and now I'm leading my department. It was a really fast escalation of kind of being bottom of the barrel, being fired, to leading a department within 2 years of getting sober. That's insane to think about. The potential that I was holding back for so long during those 20 some years. And then your second question was what?
I actually already forgot my second question, but the question that I was going to ask next was, what do you have to say to somebody out there who's in their 20s? Like, I'm not quitting drinking. I'm in my 20s. I'm too young for this.
I thought the same thing. I thought that I would quit drinking when I was 50. But if you are noticing repercussions in your personal life, your love life, your professional life, any sort of repercussions, stop making excuses for what else it could be. Because when you know it is an addiction and you're just trying to pin it on other things, you in your heart of hearts know what it is. So don't lie to yourself. The sooner you get on the other side of addiction, the faster your life just opens up for you. And I think the word, when people ask me what it's like to be on the other side of addiction, the word I always go back to, and this is very grandiose to say, but it's limitless. I was so limited before with planning my day around alcohol. I was chained to a bottle. And now on this side, I feel like I can do anything because I'm not chained anymore. And that feeling is really indescribable. And yeah, it's the best.
At the beginning of this interview, I said, oh, almost 2.5 years. How do you feel? You responded with peace. I think that was the first word. I didn't write these down, but I think there was an energy in there as well. Now, people spend billions of dollars trying to find peace, energy, clarity, concentration, patience. And you quitting drinking gave you these things. Like what can you say to somebody who's after that stuff, but they're not observing what they're putting in their body? And I'm talking about like alcohol consumption here.
What can I say to them if they're in addiction?
Yeah, I didn't really phrase that question all that well. I just find it not funny, but we all want like peace and more energy in life.
Mm-hmm.
And we will do everything to get that, but we won't quit drinking. And that was my story as well for so long. So can you comment on the peace that you experience now with that alcohol?
Yeah, I think the fact, like I said, the brain space I have of not thinking about where I'm getting my next fix, and again, physiologically, the peace within my body, literally just not the itching and craving, creates this playground for the Savanna who is well-intentioned and ambitious and knows she can handle most anything and is confident in who she is character-wise. All that gets to flood back in once you've cleared out the bad stuff that keeps you from being your best self. So you find the peace in knowing that you're trying your best, that you're trying to be your best. And that, I think, is what provides a lot of that peace.
Yeah, something that gave me a lot of peace in early sobriety was saying, like, this doesn't matter because the only thing that matters is me staying sober.
Mm-hmm.
And I still have to remind myself that that's kind of faded away the last couple of years. But listeners, wherever you are, that's the only thing that matters, right? And that gave me peace, especially the first couple of years. Like, well, this shit doesn't matter. Well, fuck that up. Who cares? Doesn't matter as long as I don't drink. I got one more question for you before we hit the rapid fire round, Savanna. Listeners, you can't see Savanna. I can. We do Zoom stuff here. The light has returned. Right when I logged into Zoom, I'm like, oh, all right, Savanna's kicking ass in life. You know, with this returned light, which is emanating from your whole being, not just your eyes, what do you want to give back to the world? Or what's on your bucket list? Or where do you want to go after?
I think I'm on the precipice of the chapter of life where I set up my next 50 years, whether that be I'm single right now, but I'm anticipating a relationship will be in my future at some point. And the fact that I'm this Savanna building and choosing those things that might set me up for the next, if we're lucky, you know, divorce is crazy, who knows, but 50 some years or so, I get to be super clear on who I let in and who I give my energy to. And I'm really excited for that chapter to just sort of take off. And I want kids one day. And my career is only growing. And I'm just excited for all these goals that most humans have on their bucket list. I feel like I'm just on the precipice of, and I get to do it with a clear head. And that's super exciting.
I'll ask you one more question. Do you have a mantra or like a favorite recovery quote that you continually tell yourself or you did in the early days?
Ooh, I haven't thought about the slogans in a minute. The word that, or part of the, when I was getting sober, the literature I was consuming and the meanings and everything, the thing that was most resonant to me was serenity. That was what I was seeking for so long, was that serenity. And the big book talks about serenity, and you start to think about what does that mean? And when you're on the other side of addiction, that starts to pour in again. And that, like I said, I think just that glee and that peace, that serenity, that was the goal. And I got it tattooed on my ribs. So hopefully I always feel that way.
Savanna, we have reached the rapid fire round. If you could answer these questions in 5 to 10 seconds, that would be great. Are you ready?
I hope so.
All right. What's the one thing you learned about yourself?
I can do whatever I apply myself to. I really can. I used to make a lot of excuses of why I couldn't do things. If I apply myself, I'm capable. I'm a capable person.
What's your best sober moment?
I think being present for my little niece and nephew. They're really young. They're both under 3 years old. I had been going to their house and packing shooters back in the day, or when the first one was born. And now I go and visit them, and I'm able to be fully present and build memories for them and with them, and they get this auntie, and I'm very excited that this is the version of me they get.
What's your favorite alcohol-free drink, Savanna?
Ooh, I gotta go with the good old LaCroix, probably. Bubbly waters do, especially lime flavor. It's almost a little bit G&T reminiscent, but not quite. But yeah, I think there's a lot of sparkling water. And also there's a bunch of fun sober drinks on the market. I think Kin is a brand that comes to mind. 3 Spirits, I think it might be called. So there's fun little mocktails that you can kind of play with to make drinks that are NA, that I have fun with on the weekends with my other sober friends sometimes.
What's the point of life?
Connection. I think life is the best when you have people supporting you and vice versa. I think you make memories with people. Those are the ones that stay with you the longest. And when times are hard and you have someone in your corner, that's what life is about, is it's connection with the people that fill your soul, that make you feel your best.
Savanna, with the podcast reach, each episode is listened to thousands of times. I know somebody is listening to your episode, walking around their block, doing the equivalent of what you did before you quit drinking. It's like, this is all I can do today. I'm walking around the block. I've got earbuds in. And Savanna says what to them?
Be honest with yourself. Be so honest with yourself. You know what the right thing is. You know what you need to do. I promise if you have the courage to pursue it, everything you wanted for in your life is just on the other side. But you have to be honest with yourself and then be honest with others too.
And Savanna, before we depart, give us your own "you might need to ditch the booze if" line.
You might need to ditch the booze if you are doing calculus to figure out how much booze you have left and preemptively shopping for shooters. Make sure you have a stash when you go stay somewhere else. It's time to really have an honest conversation if that's where you're at.
Yeah, alcoholic math is a real thing.
It is.
Yeah, thank you so much, Savanna, for coming on the podcast. That was awesome. You nailed it.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
I want to thank our production team for today's episode. We have our editor, Natasha, Robin on the show notes, and Chris on the mixing decks, putting it all together. And I also want to thank our sponsors. Recovery Elevator. You took the elevator down. You got to take the stairs back up. I love you guys.
I see you, Saber, I see you, Saber, almighty Saber, I see you, Saber, I see you, Saber, I see you, Saber, almighty Saber, I see you, Saber.